Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the WISP Virtual Summit for this live presentation and Q&A. This session is called 0 to 1,000 plus subscribers, Getting It Right. My name is Scott Loach. I'm CTO at Preseam, and I will be serving as your moderator for this session. Today we'll be learning from the hard-won experience of two distinguished WISP owners today, JJ McGrath, the founder and CEO of TekWav, and Susan Myers, co-founder and CEO of Eastern Carolina Broadband. Each speaker has a short presentation, and then we'll have time for some questions at the end. So let's get started now with JJ.
Hi, my name is JJ McGrath. As like Scott said, I'm the founder and owner of an internet provider called TekWav. We're just north of a little town called Dallas here in Texas. So right before you get into Oklahoma border, so that's where we are. So I'm here to talk about 0 to 1,000 subs from my perspective. So let's see. So that's where's a little bit more about me. We're at currently 1,600 subs and continuing to grow. We add about 30 to 50 new subs per month, and we're hopefully to go in hyper growth mode here pretty quickly. It's our end of our goal. I want to be at 1,800 subs by the end of the year, and I want to be at 2,500 to 3,000 by the end of next year. So that's my short-term goals right now. So some of the basic things we'll talk about are basic building blocks. So this is just, from my perspective, what I've done over the years, what I've learned, and how I've helped other people. So you always want to, like Stephen Covey says, always begin with the end in mind. Where do you want to go with your network? You want to always make sure that you have a solid foundation of your network. I've seen a lot of people just hodgepodge put these things together with slapstick them together, with just the basic stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly build a network there, but you kind of got to remember to know where you want to go. Who do you want to build your customers? Do you want residentials? Do you want business customers? What kind of business customers do you want? Are you going to have dedicated internet connections? These are all kinds of questions that you need to ask yourself, because those kinds of answers will help kind of dictate where you go with your network. So just like anything with a house, you want a good, solid foundation that you can keep building and building and building upon, and give yourself enough flexibility so if you need to change midstream, you can do that because you have a good, solid foundation. And I put the comment in there, friends don't let friends bridge their networks. Well, that's one of the things that there's a heated argument. Do you bridge your network or routed your network? From the very beginning, I've had our routed network. I've had a great, solid network guy from the very beginning, and has done wonders for us to stay in there in a routed mode. And now we can keep on layering on now advanced LTE services. We can add on, we can do, MPLS, VPLS circuits across our entire network, and hook up multiple companies' locations across our network. So that's the kind of things we do that you just got to bear that in mind. Just that's something that's a very interesting topic, hot topic to talk about. So I just want to throw that in there. And make sure, like I said, you build for your customers. Like I already talked about, you want to know what customers you're going after, and then make sure that your network can just easily expand. So if we're looking to add 6 more towers to us, it's not a big deal. We just bolt them on, add them into the OSPF, add routers to the towers, and just keep on rocking and rolling, because we have a pattern, we have a structure, we know exactly what to do. So part of these network building blocks, we also talk about investing in automation. I'm really, really big on this kind of stuff, because even from the very beginning, when I was just an IT guy, I believed in building a rock solid network. I don't want to be called at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to have to worry about certain aspects. In this case, having a great solid WISP billing system. So, if people not paying, well, we turn them off if they're not payments. I mean, I know a lot of people struggle with that. And how do you log in? Okay, I got to log into the radio. I got to log into the router and turn them off. At midnight, by 12:30, if you have not paid and you're past your delinquency time period, system automatically just shuts you off. You pay the bill, boom, you're back online, because it turns you back on. So those are the things, kind of automation things that I love to see, and that it saves an inordinate amount of time. So there's all those kinds of, turning them off, making automatic payments. We don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Yeah, it costs money, but I save time, and I probably collect way more money and do better manage my money by having automation. Network monitoring solutions, NMS, to alert for outages. I know a lot of WISP just they don't monitor their network. I mean, I do, and I actually have like 2 or 3 different ways of monitoring my network. I want to know if network is down. Part of my network is down. I want to know if the tower's down, I have a router down or not. I even monitor my business clients. So I get alerts. I'm looking at a board over here right now on my wall that shows me what's up in the status of running on the network right now. So another thing I know we do is we are, and have had this philosophy in a long time, don't get ridiculous on your coverage areas. We have both what we can consider our big core towers and our small micropop towers. So to us, a micropop tower, small tower, in my example, would be something like a Roam 25G, 50 foot to 100 foot, maybe servicing a local area, maybe a mile of coverage. And it maybe have anywhere from 2 or 3 clients all the way up to 50. My biggest micropop has almost 100 clients, which is ridiculous. We don't like, where the heck did this come from? But that one was kind of interesting and funny. So we have our big towers generally service no more than 5 miles, and our micropop service generally no more than 1 mile. One of my biggest towers I have actually has about 8 micropops, and underneath that they have several picopops, so just little house relays, neighborhood relays that we do. So that's kind of what the example is over here, is just be realistic in your coverages. I mean, if you need to shoot 20 miles, I get it, I understand it, but you got to bear in mind, if you have a connection that's weak, long distance, your access point is going to dumb itself down to its weakest connection. So you got to bear that in mind. As you grow and add onto your network and expand, it starts adding on complexity, starts worrying about radio frequencies. One section of the northeast section of my network, I mean, I probably got 4 big towers and probably about 20 small micropop towers. It gets a little wild and crazy, and we're talking within a 6 or 7 mile radius. We got pretty tall trees around us, rolling elevation changes, so it gets a little wild and crazy. So just be realistic in your coverage zones, your coverage areas, is what I'm basically trying to get here on this slide. I just had this conversation with somebody just a little while ago. I'm a big proponent. I've been kind of made fun of a little bit on this point, but try and buy every single piece of equipment. I have both Cambium, I have Ubiquiti, I have Mimosa, I have Bicells, I have Ericsson gear. I like to try and I'll buy it. If I can try it, that's cool, but I'll buy it and deploy it. Does it work for me? Does it work in my area? I mean, I try not to go off of what everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest since sliced bread. I get it, buy it, and boom. Next thing you know, I have a problem with it because it doesn't work for me, yet it worked for my buddy, 100 miles or 200 miles away. So I advocate for buy it and use it. Just buy a small amount, test it out. If you can, send it back if it doesn't work, but you learn, you see what works in your environment, because maybe I make fun of my buddy Adair Winter up there in Amarillo Wireless. He talks about his trees issues. Well, trees in Amarillo are way different in the panhandle of Texas versus what's more over here in north central Texas where I am. So, his non-line of sight conditions are way different than mine. So his recommendations of what he loves works great for him, but it doesn't work well for me. So that's why you have to try and buy. And never ever drink just the Kool-Aid from the vendor itself. Don't believe it. You can take it with a grain of salt, but that's when you get it, buy it, try it out, and see if you like it or not. So I'm big advocate on this one. Know your stats. And I think we'll talk about this a lot, but not just your network stats, but your financial stats, your customer service stats. Know your stats. That's how you manage your network. As you get bigger, you've got to know where your data is going, how your data is flowing, how your access points are. So on the left-hand side of the slide, that's my dude that represents my network. So at a glance, I have that running on one of my monitors at all times. I can see how the network is flowing. I can hover over those stats. I can see how much data was running during the night, last night, over a certain period of time. If suddenly the network dropped, I can see what link was having a problem. Was it one section of the network or not? It's helpful for planning purposes. Do I see that this link is now at 10% capacity, 100% capacity? Where are we at? So knowing that kind of stats helps you. On the right-hand side, it shows me Precime's stats I have on my network. It shows me what access points are good, how many is the trend going well, staying status quo, dropping. You've got to know how your equipment is performing across the entire network. So put I can't recommend highly enough to put systems in place, whatever works for you, to know your network stats. Again, this is kind of one of the things, knowing your stats. This is tracking your clients. This is our billing system shows me all the stats. All the customers. The purples are leads, the blues are actives, and then the various other colors represents different things. So I can see, man, if I have in this area, I should be putting some towers up because I can see where all my lead requests are coming in from. So to me, do you know where your demand is? So as you're trying to grow your network, where is the demand? Is it, whereas I have a nice little subdivision over here that's something coming in now, something we got 10 requests over here, well, we better go over there and put something up. It's also very helpful a lot when I'm talking to bankers and financial institutions, talking about getting big money. I show them my leads. I show them where the demand is. It's not like I'm making this up. Here is stats. This is years of tracking my leads coming in. Every lead, if it's in our coverage zone, we put it into our system so we can track it. Know your numbers. Here we're talking about know your financial numbers. So to me, there's a big difference. There's a heated exchange a lot on discussion groups, both on Facebook, other platforms, when we're at conferences. Know what a profit and loss statement is, know what a cash flow statement is, and know what a balance sheet is. There is a big distinction between a billing system and an accounting system. And for IRS purposes, you need to make sure you have an accounting system. And if you ever want to go for a loan, you need to do P&Ls and cash flow statements and balance sheets. You need to have all this information in there, especially if you want to start going up, to get the really big loans. If you want to go for an SBA loan, you need to put this information in there. I'm not going to go in here today about the P&L structure and all that. It just, to me, this is kind of near and dear to my heart because I've been going through this and very painfully lately as I mature, even taking my accounting numbers up even to the next level, because I'm now going for an SBA and they require different numbers, different structures of your numbers. It gets very interesting. So if you're at the building blocks now, build it correctly where it helps pay dividends for years later. You will need to have basic P&L infrastructure to present to even some of our common loan people in our industry, like Retalia. I always have to give Ivan over my latest P&L statements when I ask for another lease from him. So that's all I'm gonna say on that one. Again, part of your financial building blocks, part of what I've always been successful, I hire a dedicated CPA. I have a dedicated bookkeeper. The bookkeeper will be the last person I pay. She will always have a job. She saves me wonders. She saves me time. She does everything for me. I don't have to do it, because my model that I've been drilled in over the past is, what is your highest and best use? To me, it's not me crunching the numbers and playing with the numbers. That's just not my cup of tea. I'd rather hire that out, get that done, because she does all my state taxes, my federal taxes, keeps all the books in order, puts them in order for the CPA, handles everything on there. I don't have to worry about it. I know my books are solid. And I have a solid CPA who's reputable in our area. And so it's a great working team I have for me. So I keep asking myself, not just for the accounting side, but the networking side, the tech side, what is your highest and best use? So always put that in the best mind. And if you need to, hire a professional. It will pay for itself. It'll save you a lot of time. Network marketing building blocks. Basically, just for me, my experience, stick to the basics. I put examples of what we have here. Door hangers. We've done different flavors of door hangers here. Yard signs. So I had the high-speed internet available here, and also have that we love our internet. And we got great feedback off that. I wish I took a picture of it. It was awesome. I had one street. We put everyone, we had a customer, and we put we love our internet all the way up and down the street. We never took a picture of it, but that was pretty cool. I got that was an inspiration from Vegas a couple years ago at WISPapalooza. And Facebook ads, the top middle graphic is one we've done. We got a good response. The one thing we've learned on Facebook ads, you can do a lot for $100 for their boosted ads, but make sure you include pictures. Make sure you engage their the emotional side. So like got trees, hey, we have no problems. And we got a couple variations on that. So, but we always make sure wherever we're marketing to has local pictures. So that's very helpful. Reviews. I know we'll talk about this. This is heated. Do you respond to them or not? How do you handle them? We respond to every single review. We both do it at Google platform and we do it on TekWav. Facebook. So we do monitor that. We do respond to that. We encourage people to leave us reviews. If you leave us reviews on both platforms, we give you a $10 credit on your account. So we get a lot of people that handle that. Other than that, you can find me. There's my phone number. There's my cell. That's my cell number. That's my address, email address. Feel free to call me, text me, ask me questions. I'm here to help you out however I can.
Thanks, JJ. Right on time. Now we're going to hear from Susan Myers next.
Hi, I'm Susan Myers, and I'm glad to be here. JJ, I thought that was an excellent presentation. What I'm going to talk about is more from the entrepreneurial standpoint of gaining traction from 200 to 1,000 customers. I am the co-founder and CEO of Eastern Carolina Broadband in Eastern North Carolina. My background includes being a successful entrepreneur and a former SBA lender, as well as a former stock market trader. My background is not technical. My husband and one of my partners has more of the technical side. So we make a good team in combining the front end and the back end. So many entrepreneurs can talk to you all day long about what makes them great, what makes them better than their competition. And that's great. And they need to, and that passion is wonderful, but you also have to be willing to and figure out what makes you weak, because the weak spots are going to hamper your growth, are going to keep you from getting traction. So ask yourself, what is your weakest link? And I'm always asking myself, which employee is our weakest link? What area of our operations is our weakest link? Fix or fire your weakest link, and then ask yourself again, what is now your weakest link? And repeat the process. A lot of WISPs are started by people who understand the technology and the network, which is huge, which is what they need. This is very complicated, but they may not have the business experience or the financial experience or the management experience. I found that most businesses do best if there's at least two people in the business, if not more, that are owners. One owner can do the back end, one owner can do the front end. When I was a trader in the stock market, the number one rule was cut your losses quickly. As a small business, you don't have room for too many things to go wrong, and so you have to cut your losses quickly. We just had an employee that we hired 2 weeks ago. He has a two-year degree in networking, and as part of our interview process, we have to climb it because we are cross-trained. Our networking guys have to also be able to climb and install, et cetera, et cetera. And he climbed the grain elevator, did fine. And then when he came out, when it came to working with the guys, he did not really want to climb. He wanted to be in the office, and my team wasn't happy. And so he ended up quitting Monday, but I was ready to fire him. It wasn't the right job for him. So we wasted 2 weeks with him, but we cut our losses quickly. Some of the sample with these links, you can ask yourself, building a network to scale. JJ really talks a lot about this, and JJ, you can tell, has the technical background to build out a network. What we found is a lot of people that have networking degrees and networking, but they don't know how to build a networking. A WISP is so much more complicated and so much more unique than networking, the general networking just showed, yada, yada. Big mistake we made early on is my husband was a pharmacist, but also had a computer company for years. And he thought he knew more than he knew. We thought he knew more than he knew. And we tried to train our guys. We had a weird kid, and we tried to train him from the ground up. What we should have done is hire a networking consultant early on in the beginning to someone from the outside to build our network. And we didn't do that. And that cost us dearly, and then we had to go back and do that. We also tried to recruit. We live in a very small town, a very rural area, and we could not recruit anyone in the industry to come join us. So we should have had recruited someone to join us as an owner, or recruiting a network consultant on day one. You know, we went to the WISP meetings, and we met with all the you know, the Cambridge and the Microtech and the Bucity companies, and they're all like, oh, it's easy to do, it's easy to do. It's not. And I agree with JJ, is use all of the equipment, because some equipment is better for, you know, depending on the number of trees and how far you're going and the distance and the height, you know, different equipment is better for this. Also, the equipment changes so rapidly. When we went to our first WISPer 3 years ago, before we started the company, there was one manufacturer that was the Cadillac. They had the best product. Well, now that company doesn't have the best product. They've fallen behind some of the other companies. So that's another reason that you need to be familiar with all the different equipment, because they friend. There are people who train for Microtech, Ubidia, and Camera, and we found that most of these companies don't train. They have middlemen that are training companies, and you can do them online or in person. With COVID-19, we did it online, and you know, they did not get that certification because it was online. I don't need them certified. I need them to know what they're doing. So that's something else we did, and you can find some of them international. So don't just look in the United States for the trainer. WISP is a small industry. You need to check and research references. Everybody has somebody who they don't like. Everybody has somebody they love, and you need some more than one opinion to figure out exactly the kinds of people that you need. Another sample weakest links for us was lack of traction. You know, sometimes, and I've been involved in several startups, successful and unsuccessful. And to me, a startup is like getting a boat off a dry dock. And you want to get, you know, it's so hard to get that boat from dry dock to the water to really move it. I think the first 100 customers is the hardest, just like they say the first million is the hardest, the first whatever, but the first 100 was the hardest for us. We hired a project manager in Agile, and she's also a Scrum Master, because we are implementing a number of grants. We have a number of water towers that we're contracted. We're getting ready to put up 60 or 70 micropops. We got a lot going on, and we found having someone in between my husband, who's the COO, and all the technicians, installers, climbers, are all do the same job, cross-trained, but they all work for the COO. But having on the side this project manager to kind of get the project going and keep it focused and keep the COO focused, keep the guys focused, that was another thing that really helped us gain traction. There's some books that Nathan's always, I can't find the one that says traction, but they're by the same author in the same series. One of them is traction, one of them is managing EOS, one of them being a great boss. You've seen in other WISPer conferences, Nathan has talked about those, and I read, you got the traction. There, I couldn't find mine. Thank you, JJ. They have a whole website, a lot of things for management meeting. We have a weekly management meeting. We have a quarterly owners meeting. We have lots for 3-month goals, and we got busy earlier this year, and we stopped having our management meeting because we were too busy. And I realized, you know, we started to lose traction. We started not staying focused. So I really recommend those management meetings. You know, get a mentor. Get a mentor. You consultants, you contractors, get a project manager, do whatever you need to do to make this work and to find your weakest link and to outsource or insource. And as JJ said, hiring a CPA, you know, it's the first thing you do. We use QuickBooks, and then our CPA, you know, does all the filing taxes and stuff and the year-end financials or whenever I need them. But any day of the month, I can look at and get the QuickBooks report on profit and loss on our balance sheet and know where we are. We use Sonar. I know there are other companies out there for managing the billings and turning off, like JJ talked about. We use Sonar, and we say Sonar runs our business. I know that there are other ones out there, so I'm not just endorsing Sonar, but that's the one we use. But another big challenge we've had is getting people to document in Sonar, because the technicians will go out, or they will, they don't want to come back and write up and document in Sonar or take pictures and have the pictures. But every install we do, we document with pictures and notes into Sonar, so we know we can go back, and if there's a problem, we can see, et cetera, et cetera. If you have any questions, you can call me or email me at any time. I'd be glad to talk to you, and I love listening and meeting other people in the WISP. JJ, you want to do the summary?
The summaries, there's, like I said, begin with the end in mind, know where you're wanting to go, at least have a good idea where you're wanting to go. Sometimes you're just making this up as you go along. Invest in automation, both through your billing system, your monitoring system, what marketing system, wherever it can. The more you can automate, the more you can spend time doing what you can. That's your highest and best use. I'm a big believer in that. Have realistic cover zones. So try not to shoot for the moon. So be realistic. For me, 5 miles is my max, 6 miles maybe on the edge of my network shooting out. I would certainly shoot more, but be realistic. Try and buy, with the different kinds of equipment. Both talked about backhauls. We can talk about routers. You can talk about access points. So just try various things to see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Know your numbers. So again, it's all your numbers, your performance metrics, your customer demand reviews, financials, all that. Again, also hire professionals. I believe in hiring professionals. That's what they get paid to do. So that, again, that kind of also goes back into what's your highest and best use, not only for yourself, but for your people. Stick to the basics of the marketing. Try not to do anything super fancy, especially in this stage, at your stage of your growth. Once you go beyond 1,000, that's when you start having to do interesting things with your marketing to really ratchet up. Don't just focus, I guess then that's over to you, Susan.
Okay, don't just focus on your strength. Identify your weakest link. Cut your losses quickly. In scaling a network, recognize the WISP industry is there to help us. We would not have started this company if there was not a whisper, and knowing the contact really and going to the meeting makes all the difference. I also want to add one footnote is JJ was talking about door hangers. Here's one of ours. As you see, we have one side English, one side Spanish, and the door hangers and Facebook marketing and word of mouth. That's how we market. And of course, our waiting list. We have several thousand people on our waiting list.
That's good.
All right, so thanks, JJ, thanks, Susan. And as a thank you for all of you for joining this session, here is the code for you to enter in the Play to Win tab on the left side of your screen in order to claim 25 points. And now we're going to move to some questions. I have a few that have come in. Let's start with an easy one, and this will be for both of you. How long did it take you to get your first 100 subscribers and your first 1,000 subscribers? Let's start with JJ.
I can tell you. Give me a second. I actually have I don't maintain that contract deal. When I first started, I kind of did this I was kind of begrudgingly brought into this. I'm like, I don't know about doing this because we're more of an IT guy. To me, wireless was always like a Linksys router with its rabbit's ears, and that was pretty much it. I didn't really do much. I couldn't care. Like, okay, we'll try this thing, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And so if this pulls up, so the first couple of years, I was just kind of like, okay, we'll add a couple more people. Okay, we add another little tower, no big deal. And I don't know where my Excel went to. This is being a pain in the butt. I want to say it took me at least a couple of years because like I said, we didn't do a whole lot of it. And I actually have an Excel graph, and apparently my computer, Excel is not pulling up for some stupid reason, whatever. So it took me a couple of years.
All right, how about you, Susan? How long did it take you to get to your first 100 and first 1,000 subscribers?
Well, we're not quite at our 1,000. We'll get close to our 1,000 customers. We started the company 3 years ago, and we started knowing that we were with a goal in mind of 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000 customers. We had plenty of our own savings. We did not have to have any debt at first, and we had a plan. We just didn't have the networking technology knowledge. Then that was our biggest mistake and biggest held us back. We also We started with a lot of water towers. We had rented all the water towers in certain counties, and so all of that's good. But you can't roll out with so many at a time. So, what's your next question?
Okay, here's a question. How many staff do you have to deal with support calls, and what are some improvements you've made to make sure that doesn't get too high? Susan?
We said all our staff, not all of most of our staff do different things based on, we have someone always in the office during business hours to answer for support calls. The trick with support calls is to know when to charge if you have to do a rollout. It's just so easy to go, to go 30 miles to somebody's house and fix their problem, and so we really had to build some infrastructure in making sure it's our fault or the customer's fault, and keeping good customer service. We have put on all the routers, do not unplug, do not reset the routers, because people reset the routers and then it has to be reprogrammed. And that's, they just think that's what they're supposed to do. And those kind of things have cost us. We also make sure that the install is done correctly, and we document that install. So if a customer calls and says, and then we know, well, if this was installed correctly, then it's a customer's fault, then we'll have to charge to go out. We still go out and do too many calls where we should charge and don't call. Did I answer your question?
It answered, I'd say, more than the question, but do you have a sort of a number of like how many support staff or people that do phone support do you have?
Well, everybody does something else too. Our project planner answered the phone, our CEO answered the phone. Everybody does support staff with me because I'm 85% deaf. I don't have to answer the phone. I have no phone.
Yep. Okay. How about you, JJ?
I just have one person, our main receptionist. She answers the phone. She does first, tier 1 level kind of support. And if she has a problem, she just puts it into Slack, which then one of us will pick it up. And if not, then my nighttime network guy looks at it and sees if he needs to adjust anything on the tower. For after hours, outside of business hours, Server Plus is who does all the rest of my support. So we always have someone answering the phone 24/7. They do a fairly good job. I'm fairly pleased with them. I know some people don't like Server Plus, but again, that's part of one of those automation kind of deals. There's a cost associated there, but it's also to say that I can have my phones answered 24/7. So it's a great thing to have. So right now we just have one person in the office. We're pretty lean overall. It's me and 5 other people that just run the day-to-day operations of this company. So we are running pretty well. I know there's a big question of, especially when you're this small, trying to grow, when do I have my first hire? When do I have to have the extra customer service person? So the basic rule of thumb is one person per 250 subscribers. That's a kind of an average, number to have to think about. When you're up to, I've known one person run up to 500 or 600, 700 people. That's great. That's awesome. But they're also running 24/7. They're tired and they're just getting burnt out. So, but that's a kind of a rule of thumb when this question was posed on Facebook. Join WISP Talk, by the way. So that's a great one to have to be a member of. That was the basic number, one person per 250.
Okay. One thing I'm curious about from what Susan's last answer was, Susan, you mentioned putting stickers on routers, and it made me think, do you guys offer managed routers as part of your internet service? And is that required, or is it an optional? Is there a cost to it? Can you talk a bit about that?
It's not required. It's optional. It's usually additional $10 a month. We have different menus. But what we do, we really try hard to get the right kind of install and the right kind of for the home up front. Because if somebody's got a big home and they're going to need 2 routers, and they got kids that are playing the games, and the parents are working out of the home, and then we do a managed router so that the parents get the internet before the kids do, and those kind of things. And we try to do all that up front when we're doing the install so that they're happy. But some people say, oh, I don't, I'm not going to need that much. They just don't realize how many devices they're using. So that's a really good question to be asking. How many devices? And people don't think of a phone as a device. They don't think of an iPad as a device. But all of these things are running internet. JJ?
So we do use managed routers. We actually use the RB951 to UI2HND. I know this is an older style router. It is 2.4 gigahertz only, but this is 1,000 milliamp milliwatt Wi-Fi. So it's the most powerful home router we can get. Love these things. We put one in every single client. We go ahead. We were charging $8 a month extra. What we did is we upped everyone's plans by $10 and we just give one out. So to us, this is our D mark. So we stop right here. This is where we stop support. So I love it when people complain. We can log into it. We can see what's going on. We can see the signal strengths. We can see, we can run speed tests from here to the towers all the way down into the NOC. So we love it. Everyone gets it. If the customer wants their own router, we have no problems. We go ahead and just put this in bridge mode and we still have it. And so basically just boils down to this basic bridge mode or bridge mode itself. So that's what we do, and we have good luck, and we ram them down their throats. We don't care. You get one of these no matter what. On the business customers, what we'll sometimes do is we'll put it off to the side. So we'll split the CPE and with like a little Netgear switch or something like that, put our router to the side, and then make a connection over to the client. So we do that there. That way we always say, well, our router's fine, our router's on site. We do our troubleshooting from there. So if there's any problems with ping and problems with trace routing or whatever the case may be, we deal with it.
Okay, one last question. We'll ask the speakers here. What are some good sources of capital? For example, leases, bank loans. JJ?
That's a good topic to discuss, Scott. Thanks for bringing it up. I think that's one of the things that you will encounter, especially as you grow. If you've not realized it by now, you soon will, that growing an internet business is nothing but cash intense business. So the money you get coming in should be going right around and growing the network over and over again. At some point, it's not sustainable, in my opinion. If you want to grow aggressively, if you want to grow naturally and slowly, you can certainly do that, be debt free, which is awesome. And I was trying to be debt free as best as possible. I started my whole company on $60,000. And I know there's some people who are like saying, oh, you need at least $250,000, $500,000 just to get started in this business. So you can start it way less, but at some point you're going to have to get sources of capital. So, where are you going to pull that from? Again, kind of going back to what I said earlier, if you're going after bank loans, you're going after, lease companies, you have to have your stats. You have to have your financial stats, which means you got to have a good accounting system. So you got to have P&Ls, your profit and loss statements, your cash flow statements. I use a lot. It took me a little while to get involved in it, but I use Retalia. So Retalia has always done me well, has done great. They're a great proponent vendor in the WISP space and does a great. They're a WISP member. I think they're principal member or whatever, high level member. They're doing great. I know iNet Capital with CTI. They also have their own financing house. So a lot of vendors now are trying to do that and offer that now. So ask your vendor, ask your distributor. I think Ubiquity has their own financing program, also 0% interest rate for so many months, and I don't know. So check into that also. So you can load to that. You can do Live Oak Bank is now a new entrant into our industry and to our space to lend. So that's good. I'm kind of going through them right now, so we're going to see where this is going to end up. But again, you really got to have your numbers right for those guys. The problem with banks, the big banks, is they don't understand our collateral. That's the biggest thing you're going to do. They don't understand. You got to also show fixed assets and show that on your balance sheet side. So you got to be careful. You just can't think you can walk into your bank and ask for money, because they're going to say, well, what is this recurring revenue? What are your assets? Well, I mean, your assets are on a tower, on a house, all spread across the county. What's going on here? So you got to be careful on the banks. Try your small regional banks. I've been developing a relationship for several years now with the small regional banks, so that's going well. Chase didn't even care. I don't even know who my banker is. So it's ridiculous there. So try that, but you got to build your numbers up. You got to build that P&L up. I'm going to keep harping on that. So, but give Talia a call. They're always at the shows. They're good people. They're great guys.
Thanks, Susan. Anything to add?
Well, I do want to say several things. We were lucky because we have deep pockets and lots of savings, and we did bring in 2 other investors, but we emphasized this was a social investment. We hope to make money on it, but we're not going to make the kind of return that a normal investor would want to make, because we're doing it for our community. Also, we turned down venture capital for the same reason. We know that we can't give the return we may not be able to give the return that venture capital wants. And again, the social investment was our main concern. I used to be an SBA lender, and I can tell you SBA is expensive, but sometimes it's the only thing that you can get a lot more money for the bank. A lot of banks don't understand this, but there's some unusual situations, unusual lenders who want to get into even the capital conservation fund and other people, private funds with loans that are not SBA, are cheaper than SBA, but you kind of have to search and find them out there.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions. So thank you today for joining us for this live presentation by JJ and Susan. Don't forget to head on over to the Group Discussions tab, where you can ask any remaining questions you have. We hope you enjoy the rest of your time at the WISP Virtual Summit. Thanks, guys. Thank you for tuning into this session at the WISP Virtual Summit, proudly presented by Perseem. Perseem is a one-of-a-kind networking solution developed exclusively for WISPs that helps to find and fix quality of experience issues across towers, access points, and subscribers. To learn more, visit perseem.com today.